to be in York Region. Scott and I, to give you a little bit of history, I know Scott from about, Scott Milne from about 4 years ago. We met at a Tamarack Institute, Community Collaboration Institute. So it's, you know, it's interesting how you meet people and in your lives you kind of circle around and then you circle back to them and then you circle around again. So it's quite cool. And he's, during the last 4 years, really kept me in touch with what's been going on in the York region and what's been going on in his own life and in his interests. So it's great to be here, and I know a little bit about what is going on in York region, but that's not why I'm here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what happened in Hamilton at the Hamilton Roundtable for Poverty Reduction, and a little bit about what we're learning at Vibrant Communities. Vibrant Communities Canada is an initiative that has 13 multi-sector collaborative roundtables in cities across Canada. And this has been a 10-year project that has been the investment of the J.W. McConnell Family Foundation, Tamarack, the Caledon Institute, and a number of other partners, and then partners in these local communities, these multi-sectoral tables. So I'll tell you a little bit about that experience. We're now just in the stage of doing a summative assessment of the Vibrant Community experience, and when you're looking at multi-sectoral collaboration in communities, there's lots of lessons to be learned, and hopefully some of those lessons I'll be able to share with you this morning. So, this is a quote, and those of you at the back of the room won't be able to read this quote, so I'll read it for you, but this is a quote from a book called The Working Poor, Invisible in America by David Shipler. And I think for me it's a very emotive quote, and it really just says to me the challenges that we face in communities. The challenges are complex, they're interrelated, and when you're working in immigrant services, or you're working with children and families, or you're working in homelessness, they are all connected. So the quote is that every problem magnifies the impact of the others, and all are so tightly interlocked that one reversal can produce a chain reaction with results distant from the original cause. And this is an example. A rundown apartment can exacerbate a child's asthma, which leads to a call for an ambulance, which generates a medical bill that cannot be paid, which ruins a credit score or credit record, which hikes the interest rate on an auto loan, which forces the purchase of an unreliable used car, which jeopardizes a mother's punctuality at work, which limits her promotions and earning capacity, which confines her to poor housing. If problems are interlocking, so too solutions must be. And that's really what this new world that we're in. These problems are so interlocking and interconnected that we have to come together as communities to really look at new kinds of solutions. A job alone, a good job alone is not enough. Medical insurance alone is not enough. Good housing alone is not enough. Reliable transportation, careful family budgeting, effective parenting, effective schooling are not enough when each is achieved in isolation of the rest. So David in his book really talks about the need for communities to come together in different kinds of ways. And that's what we tried to do in Hamilton, and that's what Vibrant Communities is trying to work at in these 13 experiments, these action learning laboratories that we have across Canada. Vibrant Communities and the Hamilton Roundtable is built on this kind of puzzle, this interconnected puzzle. And there are 5 critical pieces that are important for vibrant communities, but would be relevant to a children's planning table, might be relevant to a homelessness action table, they might be relevant to an employment planning table. At the very center is the it that you're working on. In the case of vibrant communities, the it is poverty reduction. But for others, it might be immigration, it might be children and youth services. So you need to actually identify what the it is and get as much knowledge and as much reconnaissance about that it as possible. The 4 external puzzle pieces are to bring together a multi-sectoral table. So really bring both the usual suspects, those folks that are in the game and working on this issue on a day-to-day basis, but reach out beyond that. Reach out to the business community, to people with lived experience, and really try to broaden the knowledge and broaden the base of information. Comprehensive thinking and action is really to look at the issue from a systems perspective, and how can you engage us broadly in the community. Again, another puzzle piece is really to leverage the assets in the community, and we heard about that already this morning. So what are the assets that are supporting families in any community in their journey out of poverty? And then to take a learning orientation. So not to be satisfied with progress along the way, but to look at what both works and what fails so that you can continue to move forward and obtain change. In Hamilton, we took those 5 puzzle pieces and we developed what we thought was our framework for change. And this framework for change is actually, it's a way of expressing to the community the change that you want to see in the community. And also, our orientation in Hamilton was to open the door as widely as possible to everyone to get involved in poverty reduction. Our aspiration, which was really what drove the work and continues to drive the work of the Hamilton Roundtable for Poverty Reduction, was to make Hamilton the best place to raise a child. So some of you in the room would say, so what does that have to do with poverty reduction? You know, making Hamilton the best place to raise a child. Hamilton has had a poverty rate of 24% for children under the age of 14. If you have that high of a poverty rate, you're not the best place to raise a child. But if you don't have a high aspiration for the community, you're also not welcoming people in to do the work. And the aspiration of making Hamilton the best place to raise a child actually opened the doors to some of those non-traditional people to engage in conversations that weren't necessarily conversations that they were used to. So if you went to the business community and you said, we want to talk to you about a living wage, and say, oh, no, we can't, that'll take away our profits and things like that. And then you actually go in through the door from making Hamilton the best place to raise a child, and you say, well, did you know that your employees don't have enough money to buy school supplies for their kids to go to school in September? So the wages you're paying are barriers to your employees. It actually changes the conversation and it engages people in a different way. The framework for change in Hamilton includes 5 critical points of investment in the lives of children, youth, and their families. And if you think about it, it really actually follows the lifespan of a child from cradle to career. And the 5 critical points of investment look at early learning and parenting, skills through education, activity, and recreation, those school years, so that early learning and parenting are the 0 to 6 years, the skills through education, recreation, and activity are the school years. Targeted skills development are those years where kids transition into high school and through high school into post-secondary or into the workforce. So what kinds of supports do we need to have in our community around those years? Employment, so the transition into employment, and then asset building and wealth creation. And asset building and wealth creation really looks at things like how do you help families generate assets like savings accounts and stable housing, because if a child moves 6 times during the course of a school year, which is the case in some Hamilton neighborhoods, they're actually not going to do as well at school as a more stable neighborhood. So asset building, wealth creation is critical to all of the 5 critical points of investment. And what we found in doing this work in Hamilton is that they're interlocking, right? And so while we have them shown in a linear format, because we're following the life of a child, in fact, they are all interlocking, they're all connected. The roundtable has at its very essence, a sense of really trying to tackle the root causes of poverty. So that looked at income security, food security, housing, stable housing, safe neighborhoods. Social inclusion was one of our root causes. We wanted to do our work in 5 kind of ways, and what was really critical in the early stages of this work was that whole culture of having no blame, right? So often with poverty reduction work, it's fraught with people wanting to blame other people for the reason why the community found itself with such high levels of poverty. So some people want to blame government. Some people want to blame the business community. There are some people in the community that want to blame the people who have the lived experience of poverty because of their perceptions. And the roundtable wanted to articulate clearly that getting to a point of blame was not healthy for a community. And so we really said, this is a no blame table. What we're here to do is to ask really hard questions, but not to blame people. And that actually